Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it and I hope that this video finds you well. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at a fragrance by the company Electimuss. This one came out just this year in 2020 and the fragrance itself is called Fortuna, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Fortuna by Electimuss and I tell you all about it, what I get in terms of the smell, the performance, the projection, the longevity, the versatility, all of that stuff, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but pretty much anything having to do with fragrances, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course, while you're at it, please make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell icon. This way, whenever I do put out these videos, they will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And I should also mention that if you are interested in either purchasing this fragrance, maybe buying a decant, not a full-size bottle necessarily, but just sampling this fragrance, you may do so at scentsplit.com. This video is being shot in collaboration with scentsplit.com. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only place that has the entire Electimuss collection in the United States. And so whether you want to try this one or some of the other offerings from the brand, and I believe there's a total of 24 at the present moment if what is on fragrantica.com is accurate. But in any case, today we're going to be focusing our attention on Fortuna. This is a 2020 release and this is an oud rose fragrance. Now, we all know that there are many oud rose perfumes on the market. Some of them can enter animalic territory, some of them can be a little bit on the floral side, some of them can be quite heavy-handed on the agarwood note, and some of them tend to go in a completely different direction. Well, this one does have notes of geranium, it also has saffron, so it has some spicy nuances as well, and I'm going to be talking about all those little nuances that I think make this a unique fragrance and allow it to stand apart from other oud rose fragrances on the market. But before I begin talking about the smell, let's start with the presentation. So as you can tell, the box for this one is quite large and it's also quite heavy to hold. It has the Electimuss logo here in the middle and the name of the brand towards the top. The back of the box just has your ingredients as well as the made-in information, and this company is based out of London. The box opens up to reveal a silhouette in which the bottle rests. The bottle for this fragrance is incredibly heavy, so please use caution when handling it. You have the Electimuss logo here in the front. The name is written right in the middle here, Fortuna, and then the name of the brand towards the top. The cap for this fragrance also has the Electimuss logo in it, and the cap for this fragrance does click into place, but I wouldn't pick it up from the cap because it's such a heavy bottle. And the distribution on the atomizer is nice and wide, really good distribution. Let's continue with the smell. So as soon as this fragrance opens up, you are going to get a strong note of rose. And I feel like you have to be a rose lover in order to really appreciate this perfume. Now, I personally have a lot of other rose-based fragrances in my collection, and I tend to wear them right around the springtime because, you know, you think of spring and flowers are in bloom and you think of roses, maybe tuberose, gardenia, jasmine, so on and so forth. But this is a dark and spicy rose because you're also going to get a little bit of saffron in the opening as well. Now, there's also a little bit of geranium, but that is not too out of character for a lot of rose perfumes because geranium is used in the synthesis of a rose accord. So although a perfume manufacturer, if you will, or a perfume company might use natural rose, they will also use geranium, not necessarily as a substitute, but to enhance the aroma profile of the rose. And I believe that that's kind of what's going on in here. So it opens up spicy and dark, but immediately you can smell this animalic texture in the base. And there is musk in here, but you know what? The more that I smell it, the more I'm convinced I'm either picking up on ambergris or civet, because there is this sort of barnyardy quality about it that makes it one of the more niche offerings from the brand. Of course, that's a silly word to use because they're all niche, as this is a niche brand. This is their specialty. They specialize in perfumes. But this one kind of pushes the boundaries a little bit. It pushes the envelope. It dares to do things in a way that's a little bit unconventional, and I have a strong appreciation for that. You know, a lot of times we don't want a fragrance that smells mass manufactured or cookie cutter or anything like that, and this is anything but that. So you have this spicy rose in the opening, the saffron, the geranium, adding the slight minty quality. And then you have this agarwood base with the musk and these animalic components that I spoke about that really keeps this fragrance dark all the way through. Now, I suppose the best comparison I can give is if you're familiar with a lot of Montal fragrances and the way that they utilize that combination of oud and rose, you are going to get something similar here. However, this animalic base that I'm picking up on well into the dry down, but it's also perceivable in the opening as well, is something that I feel really sets it apart. And so even if you do own, let's say, Black Oud by Montal, I don't think this would be a redundant purchase because it has that animalic texture that is absent in some other oud rose fragrances. All in all, if you're a fan of oud rose compositions, if you don't mind them getting a little bit on the dark side, a little bit on the spicy side, and a little on the animalic side, definitely check out Fortuna. It's definitely appropriate for this time of the year. And so if you're looking for something that is dark and heavy and rich and something that is unapologetic in its character and its demeanor and something that could withstand the really cold temperatures, like it was snowing here in New Jersey yesterday, as a matter of fact, I think you would end up really enjoying this fragrance. So let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, while I did make comparison to a few other oud rose fragrances on the market, and of course this is a combination that is ever so popular in the perfume industry, this one still stands out on account of the fact that it has that animalic base that I think lends it uniqueness. The overall smell is one that you really need to be a fan of in order to pull off. Of course, the brand has a lot of other fresher, more easygoing offerings. This is definitely one of the darker, more daring, and more brooding offerings from the brand, so just keep that in mind as a consumer. In terms of the longevity, 12 plus hours, forget about it. This lasts a very long time on the skin. Also on clothing, if you put it on clothing, it won't expire for 3 or 4 days. So it's a very long lasting perfume. The projection was fantastic for the first 3 to 3.5 hours of application. It didn't start to sit closer to the skin until about the 7 to 8 hour mark. Versatility on this one might be compromised just a little bit. I don't see myself wearing this one in the hotter weather, despite the fact that I said rose-based perfumes kind of put me in the mindset of spring. This one is definitely heavy, spicy, oudy, musky, and animalic, and bold. And so I would be more inclined to wear this one in the colder weather instead. This is perhaps for a true niche fragrance lover and for somebody who is a little bit older, but I do find it to be perfectly unisex. In terms of the presentation, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. My final verdict on this fragrance is if you are a fan of oud rose combinations in perfumes and you don't mind something that goes in the animalic territory with notes of musk and perhaps a little bit of civet or ambergris, while also retaining the spicy texture on account of the use of the note of saffron throughout the entire life of the perfume, I would say definitely check this one out. I think we have a really good contender for that oud rose genre, and it's definitely one that I think deserves a little bit more praise. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my fragrance review of Fortuna by Electimuss. Once again, I do want to remind you that if you are interested in either purchasing this fragrance or just getting a sample of it, you may do so at scentsplit.com. All of the information is going to be down below. And thank you again for watching this video. If you took something of value from this video and you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.